The average down payment for a used car is $4,100, which is more than I'm selling this whole car for. And guess what? Auto loan delinquencies continue to rise year over year.
Anyone who bought a car pretty much at any point in the last 4 years paid historically high prices.
And at these used car dealer auctions, what we're seeing is that repos are spiking. And later on in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly what a dealer pays for a repo just like this one. The average consumer is borrowing $40,000 to buy a new vehicle. And it's gonna be way more than that on trucks just like this because most of them are $70,000, $80,000, and $90,000. And right now, 1 out of 4 people are trading in a car with negative equity on it. That's 25%.
On those trade-ins, hit an all-time high in the first quarter of 2024.
And that's a whole lot of blue and a whole lot of negative equity. On average, EV owners have more negative equity than ICE drivers do.
EVs specifically fell 29.5%.
In the last 10 years, auto loan debt is up 85%. Just in the last 4 months, $165 billion has been added to the total of American car debt. More than 16% of new car buyers have an average monthly payment of over $1,000.
A near record number are paying over $1,000 a month and have been for 4 straight quarters.
The idea of you're going to pay, $700, $800 a month for the next 6 years, I mean, it's just, it just sounds crazy.
And when the truck's costing $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, yeah, you're going to have a payment of over $1,000. That's just what happens. Americans now have $1.6 trillion worth of auto loan debt. And you may not know this, but if you stop paying your insurance, you can actually get your car repoed, even if you're making your payments.
Just 10 years ago, car payments were nearly half of what they are today.
And we know for consumers, this is getting harder and harder and harder to do because insurance rates have spiked so much.
The average annual premium for full auto insurance in the U.S. spiked 26% in 2024.
All right, and check this out. This is what a repo looks like. All this damage, because if people aren't paying their bills, why would they repair this? They know that they're going to lose the car, so no, they're not going to fix it. Repos typically have a lot of damage. Mechanically, they're not right. These are not good cars. People are not going to pay for them, so they're not going to fix them. The average new car term is 67 months. So right now we're seeing the average down payment for a used vehicle is $4,100. And Americans right now are already living paycheck to paycheck, so before the loan even starts, this consumer is already strapped.
Surveys have found that up to 2/3 of Americans feel they're living paycheck to paycheck, including one finding that nearly half consider themselves broke.
And this is a big reason why auto loan delinquencies are spiking, why repos are spiking, because before the loan even starts, this customer is behind the 8 ball. So another situation where a consumer can lose their car is if they don't pay their insurance, even if they're making their monthly payments every single month on their car, but they stop paying their insurance, the bank can come and pick up their car. You have to keep your insurance active to be able to have that car loan. So I've been having franchise managers tell me that negative equity is causing their customers not to be able to get into these vehicles. I know that last time I came and talked to you, you talked to me a lot about negative equity, and you're seeing that as a big time problem.
Absolutely correct.
As we know, these customers, they have to get loans to get into these brand new big trucks. So when they come into these dealerships, they have so much negative equity that they can't get a loan. Now, negative equity is not a new thing to the car market. Usually what would happen is if someone wants to get a brand new car every 2 to 3 years, they would just roll their negative equity into the next vehicle. But now, because negative equity is so high, there are not any levers these dealerships can pull to be able to roll this negative equity into the next vehicle. So you get somebody that comes in, they're $6,000, $10,000 underwater on their vehicle. Are there any levers that you guys can pull, or are you having to get to the point where you have to turn customers away?
Well, see, the thing used to be, in order to get out of all negative equity, you used to lease your way out of it.
Right.
You can't do that anymore.
Right. When customers are coming in with $15,000, $20,000 of negative equity, they cannot make these deals happen at these dealerships. The average amount of negative equity that a consumer has right now is over $6,000. And used car prices are down 9.3% year over year, which is rapidly increasing the amount of negative equity that's in our system right now. And I'm seeing used car prices get hammered here at my used car lot. You look up there at the hill, we got a ton of cars. Look all behind me right here. We've had all these cars come come in, we haven't been able to buy a lot of cars up until recently, and now we're able to go into these auctions and pretty much buy whatever we want, because on the wholesale level, the car prices have tanked. So a dealer like me who's ready to go, we've been selling cars, we've been able to buy them, prices are going down right now, and it's hurting these consumers that have bought cars over the last couple of years, and it's going to continue to go down because dealers are still having a hard time and they're not wanting to pay up at these auctions anymore. And I'm seeing it firsthand right here. That's why we've got all these cars here that we've been able to buy recently. So here's the problem. It hasn't been all that long ago that your normal car loan was about 36 months. And if you had really bad credit, you need some help, you need to extend the loan, maybe you would get 48 months. But now we're seeing that the average loan is 67 months, and it is not unheard of to have these loans that are going up to 84 months. Yes, they're out there. You can find them. And it's crazy because all of these big trucks, a lot of people are going that route because they have to get their monthly payment down to something that they can actually afford. And how do they do it? Well, they extend the term of the loan out. So a lot of repossessions that are not accounted for in a lot of this data are coming from buy here, pay here dealers. And these are the dealers that you see on the side of the road that have, $9.99 down, and these are the ones that are going to repossess the cars the quickest. But none of that stuff's in the data because Bob's Used Cars doesn't have to report to anybody, right? But I've talked to a lot of these buy here, pay here dealers, and what they're doing to keep their consumers in their payments is actually extending the loan. See, these buy here, pay here dealers, they can't raise the payments on the consumers even though these cars have gone up in price so much. You would think what they need to do is raise their monthly payments on their consumers, but their consumers can't afford to be able to pay those monthly payments. So what they have to do, they have to really extend these loans out. The problem with this is that a lot of these cars coming from these buy here, pay here dealers, you got to think they're not new cars. They're not 2-3-year-old cars. A lot of these are 10-year-old cars. They're not going to last for the length of that loan. There's going to be something that goes wrong with those cars as these loans get extended out. So what do those consumers do? Well, if something goes wrong with the car, there's a saying in the car business that consumers have money to do one thing. They can either make their payment or they can fix the car, but they can't do both. So they're going to default on those cars. So right now we're seeing that EV owners, these Tesla owners, they have more negative equity than the average ICE vehicle driver does.
The average price for 1 to 5 year old used EVs dropped 33.7%. Meanwhile, used car prices only fell 5.1% in the same period.
And the reason for that is because we've seen all these EVs take a massive hit in value. You've seen Elon price cut after price cut after price cut, really destroying the values of these. We've seen Hertz dump a lot of Model 3s.
From car rental company Hertz, it says it has made the strategic decision to sell 20,000 electric vehicles from its U.S. fleet.
Further pushing down the values of these EVs, you're seeing Ford with the F-150s, the Mach-E's, they can't sell them, further pushing a lot of these EVs down in value. And this is something that's going to continue. So this is not a good thing for the EV consumer. They're going to continue to have more and more negative equity as the market continues to get weaker. And what are we seeing? See, year over year over year, auto loan delinquencies are going up. And it seems like it's obvious, right? Everything costs more. It's harder on the average consumer to be able to pay their car payments. Just your average car payment is going up. Insurance, to be able to insure these cars that people are driving, are going up. Daily needs like rent, groceries, everything costs more, putting more of a strain. So yes, we're going to have more auto loan delinquencies. And guess what? It's going to continue to rise because people have put themselves in this position. They've taken out these loans on these cars and they cannot afford them. So these cars are going to get repossessed. So in the last 10 years, we've had auto loan debt go up about 85%. And what's behind this? Well, it seems kind of easy because, we have prices that have gone up so much in the last 10 years of these vehicles. And then on top of that, you have an American consumer that is more willing to take on debt. So if you're going to keep up with the Jones, okay, well, you're going to have to spend the money. But if you don't have the money, what are you going to do? You're going to borrow it. And that's what what the American consumer is doing right now. So we're seeing right now that the average negative equity that a consumer has is over $6,000. And that has gone up about $1,000 over each of the last 3 years. And we're seeing this now as a trend. So if it continues, the negative equity is just going to keep on going up and up and up and up. And that makes it much harder for these consumers to be able to trade out of their current cars and get into new ones. So here's another problem for consumers that have negative equity. Over the last year, used car prices have absolutely plummeted. So what's that do? That creates more negative equity. That lowers the value of the vehicles that people have bought 2-3 years ago. And it's creating a big time problem for consumers that want to trade out of their cars. That can also push a consumer over the edge when they go and look at what they owe on the car versus what it's worth. Then you know what? If they owe so much more on that car, it might actually push them over the edge to just let that car go back. So you're having 1 out of 4 consumers come into these dealerships to buy one of these new Ram trucks. 1 out of 4 of them have negative equity on their vehicles. This is the worst that we've ever seen it coming into these dealerships. That means that banks are going to start turning away a lot of these consumers because they can't make up the difference on the current vehicle that they have. Dealerships are going to suffer. Consumers are not going to be able to trade into their next vehicle. And because delinquencies and repos are up, banks are only going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. All right, so we're going to check out this Cadillac, and it is a repossessed car. I know this because I know the seller. I know they're a buy here, pay here dealer. This Cadillac, it's a 2009, and it's got 96,000 miles. This thing was repossessed. The outside body looks pretty good. Check out the inside. The inside looks good. This is not typical of a repo. So this customer probably did not have this car for very long before they actually got it repossessed. We'll walk around the whole body. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Anyway, but we're going to take you inside and show you exactly what a dealer is going to pay for this. And we're going to go right now. Here we go. Here's that Cadillac repo.
Good miles, good miles, good miles.
There you go, good miles. That means it's got low miles on it. It's got 96,000 miles. Trying to start at $3,000. No bid so far. All right, dropped it all the way down to $5,000. Nope. All right, dropped it all the way down to $500. We got bids going up. All right, up to $1,200 already. Every time this guy yelps, he's got a bid. It's going to roll out. We're still bidding on it. Still bidding on it. Up to $2,500 now. Up to $3,000. Dropped it up to all the way to $3,000. All right, up to, okay, we jumped up to $3,500 now on that Cadillac. $3,500. Got $3,500. They sold it. $3,500. They sold it. Year over year, and everything costs more. No. EV consumers right now have more negative equity than ICE EV owners have more negative. And how do they do it? Well, they extend the term, or it can just guess what? They continue to spike. And if you thought auto loan delinquencies were high last year, well, guess what? They're spiked. Nope. I got people all around me. That's why I'm walking around here. There's too many people at this auction. To the American car debt total. Car debt total. There we go. Let's get in here and try it again.